Home buyers and home sellers are two sides of the same coin, and they ask the same question with different intent. Will this market benefit me? Buyers want to save money, sellers want to make money. Let's talk truth about real estate prices, and maybe by the end of this video, pricing will be less of a mystery. Real estate has been considered a safe investment by most, but with the way the housing market's been bouncing around lately, lots of people have lost confidence in it. With inflation raging and a recession looming, home buyers and home sellers alike have taken a more wait-and-see approach. In the end, the one thing that seems to matter the most, and at least gets the most attention, is the price of real estate. If you're selling, high prices get you excited. Life is good. If you're buying, high prices seem outlandish and unreasonable. Before 2007, historical housing data seemed to say that real estate prices could rise indefinitely. Since 1963 to 2007, home prices did exactly that, with few exceptions, and prices rose every year until 2008, when the housing bubble did in fact burst and the financial crisis began. By 2013, the average sales price of homes sold in the U.S. had rebounded to pre-crisis levels, and the next several years the uptrend looked promising, until 2018 when prices flattened, and then began to fall slightly in 2019. Prices saw a dip in 2020 when COVID hit full force, and since then, prices skyrocketed until the last half of 22, and prices have slid slowly down until in March of 2023, the year-over-year prices actually declined for the first time in almost a decade. Here's a word of caution to those who love learning about real estate. Real estate is definitely a local concern. National trends can only tell part of the story. While prices could be falling in one part of the country, they could be healthy and rising in your part of the world. Within the same city, prices can and usually are wildly different. Take Nashville and Brentwood and Williamson County. They're wildly different. The nature of real estate is some areas get older and start to decline, while others experience new growth and renewed vitality. As an example, look at the different prices in new homes in the 4 different regions of the United States. The best example of how housing can be so different in different areas is the pandemic hotspots. Think Austin and Phoenix and Florida. They were blazing hot and now cooling off at an unprecedented rate. To say home prices in 21 and 22 exploded would be a massive understatement. To say the economy is currently a great big question mark is also an understatement. These days, with persistent inflation having to be dealt with and high interest rates resulting from the Fed trying to cool the economy, the stratospheric home prices slowing down at a glacial pace, buyers and sellers are mostly sitting on the sideline waiting and watching to see what's going to happen next. The simple truth is, for most homeowners, the only real change higher home values brings is higher property taxes. All the equity in the world doesn't mean much until you liquidate it in some way through a refinance or selling the home. Don't get me wrong, I love having my home be worth way more than it was 2 years ago. But as long as it's just on paper, it's not doing much for me in a practical sense. If you're close to retirement or your family situation has changed in some dramatic way, downsizing might be a good option to recover some of the gains from your newfound wealth. Just keep in mind, everyone else's property value has gone up too, so you might have to move to a different area that trends less expensively. Sometimes people will treat home equity gains like winning the lottery and their house turns into an ATM machine. I'd suggest thinking twice about that, maybe even 3 times. Look at the current situation. After all, homes that jumped in values the last couple years are now losing value a little bit each month. If you were to tap a ton of that equity and then have real estate lose too much value, you might be left high and dry. This is where underwater, foreclosure, and short sales starts to make headlines again. What we have all witnessed the last few years is a masterclass in the government intervention in trying to control the economy. Think about it. COVID hits, the economy grinds to a halt, the Fed gives money away to keep us going, and keeps interest rates at absolute historic lows to keep the financial wheels turning. I remember hearing the term, it's almost like getting free money. That means rates were so low, it was stupid to use your own cash to buy stuff. So the natural consequence was an economy that would start heating up, and of course it did. So the Fed cranks up the cost of money, borrowing gets more expensive, and now home prices, though dropping, are still painfully high, and interest rates, though nowhere near historic highs, is high enough to stop a lot of buyers in their tracks. And the whole time we're watching prices rise and now start to fall as we wait for the news that the housing market has hit bottom. And when inflation finally cools off enough and the Fed starts easing up on the rate hikes and maybe even drops a rate or two, buyers will come back to the market because the one fundamental none of us can change is people need more space or less space, or trade old space for new space, or get a new job in a new place, and on and on and on. People move, that's what we do. So, is buying a home a good investment? There are those like Grant Cardone who says it's stupid to buy a house, but he's a different breed. I think for most of us, at the end of the day, having a home to call our own, to fix up or not, as we please, to make it our own in our own way, is well worth the price of admission. The question of is a home a good investment comes from the idea that real estate prices tend to rise over time, and historically speaking, that has overall been the case with few exceptions. But like was mentioned earlier, if you don't sell or borrow or in some other way access the gains of increased home values, higher taxes is about the most action you're going to get out of it. Simply put, getting into a home that can and does serve your family well without getting in over your head, in other words, buying a home you can easily afford, will set you up for living a pretty good life. When it comes to real estate, I see two types of buyers. One that's always looking to turn a profit when and if the time is right. Call those people investors. And there's those that want to buy a home to live in, to make a life in, to raise a family in. The truth is, for this person, if you've bought in a way that makes things reasonably affordable, then honestly, you can forget about the rise and fall of the real estate economy and live your life sleeping easy every night. The bottom line, I don't know about anyone else, but I love the idea of owning a home that has 2023 values on paper, but only cost me what I bought it for several years ago. That makes for quite the nice nest egg to live in, and just in case in emergencies. If you like this video, tell a friend, give it a like to help me spread the word, and subscribe so you know when the next one drops, will you? As always, I appreciate you and your time. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.